Your home is your biggest investment, so you're taking a huge risk when you have gaps in your homeowner's insurance coverage. It pains me to see people sign on the dotted line and they don't know what coverage they have. So today we're going to talk about the 4 most common gaps I see in homeowners insurance policies and how you can avoid them. Gap number 1, inadequate dwelling coverage. One of the most common gaps I see in homeowners policies is that there is not enough coverage to rebuild the home. God forbid you're one of the 365,000 people who have a house fire next year. If your home is sitting there in ashes as the fire department's putting it out, you're going to assume that your insurance company is paying to rebuild your home, right? Well, that's not always the case. Sometimes there's not enough coverage in the policy. Most people think that they should insure their home for what they purchased it for, but that doesn't take into account today's rebuild costs, which are typically substantially higher than when your home was originally built, and that doesn't take into account depreciation. As a side note, if you bought your house for $10,000, you probably shouldn't insure it for $500,000. So there's definitely a sweet spot for coverage. So how do you bridge the gap? You need to insure your home for what it would cost to rebuild it today. The easy place to start is getting a copy of your replacement cost estimated from your agent. On it, make sure that things such as having 3 fireplaces, a large deck, or bay windows, or maybe that new addition that you forgot to mention are included in the replacement cost estimator so that you're properly covered. Most homeowners want to insure their home on a replacement cost basis and on a special perils basis. How you verify that is simply by picking up your declaration pages and looking for replacement cost and special perils. If you're not quite sure about these things, give your agent a call or get a second opinion from a licensed agent. Gap number 2, insufficient coverage for other structures. It's common to forget other structures on your property, such as fences, detached garages, pole barns, and swimming pools. The default coverage for this is 10% of whatever your home's insured for. So if your home is insured for $200,000, you get about $20,000 in other structures coverage. This is typically sufficient, but if you live in the country and you have 3 massive pole barns, it probably isn't. So how do you bridge the gap? This one's easy. Go to your homeowner's declaration page and look up either Coverage B or Section B, Other Structures. Look at how much coverage you have and ask yourself, is that enough coverage to rebuild the other structures on your property? Gap number 3, lack of water backup coverage. I'm often asked, does my homeowner's policy provide flood coverage? What they're really asking is, does my homeowner's policy have water backup coverage? Flood policies typically aren't required unless you're in a floodplain, and they're heavily regulated by the federal government. Not every insurance company offers water backup coverage, but those that do, such as Farm Bureau Insurance, typically offer a base amount in the policy at no cost. It's typically about $2,500. But if you have a custom finished basement or custom furniture in your basement, or even if you just store a lot of valuables in your basement, that's typically not going to be enough. In fact, $2,500 may just be enough to dry out your carpet and get that wet carpet out of your house. So, how do you bridge the gap? When determining how much water backup coverage you need, it's important to take into consideration not just the cost to refinish your basement, but also the cost to replace all your stuff in your basement should it get wet. It's important that you get this coverage fixed with your agent, and if you have an agent who doesn't offer it, it may be time to find one who does. Gap number 4, limited coverage for personal valuables. In standard homeowners policies, there are certain items that have limited coverage. These include guns, jewelry, business personal property, and collectibles such as comic books and cards. Unless you specifically add these to your policy, you'll receive the default coverage that your carrier provides, which is typically $1,000 to $2,000. On top of that, you'll only be insured for about 16 causes of claims compared to the much broader coverage if you list them on your policy. So how do you bridge the gap? No matter what your valuables are, you want to make sure they're protected. It's important to list them all out and include values for them. This is called an inland marine policy or a scheduled personal articles policy, also known as a SPA policy. If you own any of the items I listed previously, it's important that you call your agent and find out what information they need to get it on your policy today. While these 4 gaps in homeowners insurance are common, they are easy to fix. Your home is your most valuable asset. Take a closer look at your homeowner's policy and make sure you're protected. Unsure if your home and belongings are protected? Send me a Facebook message and let's have that conversation together.